All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. I am back with another video. All right, y'all, welcome back to All Boxing Everything. Make sure y'all like the channel, share, and subscribe. I'll be doing more videos over here, just talking about what's going on in boxing, current state of boxing, and the state of boxing as a whole, and just maybe even doing some throwback videos. So make sure y'all subscribe. But today, man, I just want to talk about Keith Thurman. Is Keith Thurman back? And, I mean that in every sense of the term back, whether it's back in the ring, back bringing in the stars. Did he bring back his fans? Is he back? Is he back to that championship level? Well, I had to go back and watch the Mario Barrios fight one more time. I watched like 2-3 times now. That was like 2-3 weeks ago, right? But Keith Thurman, my overall thoughts of his performance against Mario Barrios, I thought it was decent. For a guy that's been out of the boxing ring for about 2.5 years, I thought he put on a decent performance. He definitely showed some old glimpses of himself, and I mean that in every aspect of the word, which might be, a downside to it, because I seen some of those same strengths and same weaknesses here. But if anything, Keith Thurman, like myself and a lot of people, felt like Keith Thurman should have went in there and be able to destroy a guy like Mario Barrios that's moving up to 147. Keith Thurman, he came in there looking, like the physically bigger fighter, definitely the more dominant fighter when it came down to his boxing style. He was, of course, the shorter fighter, but he was still getting off. He was able to box at a distance, leap in and land some good power shots, and just all around beat up Mario Barrios, right? Pretty much pitched a shutout. I really couldn't give Mario Barrios a single round in this fight, right? But with that, I do think that Keith Thurman, he did show some glimpses of his old self, like I said, leaping in with those left hooks, kind of bringing in an unorthodox style, but still being technical with a lot of his punches, good jab, good leaping left hooks, kind of knocking Mario Barrios off balance. But, we didn't really see that same one-time power. But, again, we haven't seen that since, we haven't seen that in like 4 or 5 years, right? Maybe 6 years. We haven't seen one time even in the Sean Porter fight or Danny Garcia fight, right? So I think if anything, Keith Thurman, he definitely showed some glimpses of himself as that type of awkward technician, if you will. He definitely shows the signs of still boxing from the outside, being smart, being cautious, but going in there wanting to take those chances. It's just that, Mario Barrios, is a smaller guy. We all expected to knock him out, but him moving up to 147 probably built up his durability a little bit. Like, of course, Tank, styles make fights, but that was a smaller weight. Tank, he just has that right approach to walk a guy down like Mario Barrios and land those type of accurate shots. It all comes down to his footing too as well, right? How he's placing his feet when he throws these shots. Whereas Keith Thurman, he's dealing with the bigger Barrios, and the way he's committing to his shots might not necessarily knock a guy off balance or knock a guy out, right? So I think with that, Keith Thurman, he did show some glimpses of his old self, but he also showed some weakness to the body again. He definitely showed that old school weakness here too, man, because Barrios did back him up a couple times. And then at one point where I think it was, I can't remember, one of the commentators noticed Keith get rocked. And then when they did the replay, they saw it was a left hook to the body that put him on the back foot. So, yeah, Keith Thurman is back in that sense as well. He's still back being vulnerable to body shots again, right? But overall, I don't know, man. Like Keith Thurman, it's going to take more than a win over a former 140 pounder to make us think he's really back. Of course, he's going to look a certain way, and it's all if he wants to come back and stay active. I know he wants to fight Terrence Crawford in like July or August or something like that. But does he have that same hunger? Does he possess that same hunger? He's a guy that knows the sport of boxing very well when it comes to just analyzing. But as far as for himself, that's something that he has to really find, right, for Keith Thurman. So for me to say he's back fully, I can't say. Just good to see him back in there and be entertaining. But I think he may be about 60% back in the game, maybe 70%, when it comes down to it. But he's been gone a minute, which brings us to the next part of this video. I just want to discuss, like, is he back? Like, is he back to bringing in his fans and back to bringing in this star attraction that he thinks he has? Is he back to bringing in this type of attraction where he can negotiate and say, I deserve X amount of dollars? I don't think so, because I was looking at these pay-per-view numbers. Well, for one, this fight shouldn't have been a pay-per-view. I think this fight only did like what 39,000, if that, 39 to 40,000 pay-per-views. This PBC card only did 39,000 pay-per-views. And first off, any Keith Thurman fight, whoever the opponent was when this was announced, it should not have been pay-per-view. Like, that's where they messed up right there. Keith Thurman and pay-per-view right now does not mix. A fighter that's been out the game for about 2.5 years that doesn't have the star power of a Floyd Mayweather, does not need to be a pay-per-view attraction at this time. That was a big gamble right there for them. So with that aspect, when you look at it that way, I can't say Keith Thurman is back. I can't even say he's back into any type of negotiations where he can say he deserves the lion's share of the money or deserve like more than Terrence Crawford at this point, if they're going to fight, right? Because again, you're only bringing in 39,000 buys, 40,000 buys, something like that. That just shows you that nobody's really checking for you. They're starting to lose interest. Now maybe if he was on regular TV, that would have been fine, because I looked at the views of just the televised version of the card, and that thing was up to like 900,000, 963,000, pushing 1 million views. So I was like, they just got greedy here. PBC overall just got greedy here. They should have just made this card a simple televised card, and everybody would have tuned in and saw Keith Thurman back. Millions of people would have seen it. But the minute that thing went in after the prelims into the main card, you saw them numbers drop, because nobody's going to pay $75 for a guy they haven't seen in 2.5 years, that's coming off a loss, doesn't have a belt, right? Let's be logical here. Let's be logical. That's one thing I'm always about when I'm talking about box. I'm talking logic. And for Keith Thurman to come back, or even for PBC to come back and say, "Oh, we're gonna make this a pay-per-view," like everybody's coming out, that was wrong. That was a wrong move. I know a lot of people didn't want to buy it. They told me they didn't want to buy it, right? So with that, I can't really say that Keith Thurman is back in that aspect to be some type of attraction, because there's too many guys now. Errol, Terrence, they've been taking over, they've been dominating. Then you got the young guns like Boots Ennis, that's making you erase the memory of Thurman at this point. He's trying to put himself in the mix. Then you got guys like Conor Benn on the come up. Then you got this WBA mini tournament happening right now. Staniosis and Butiev. I know they're lower level, but they're making their noise now. Then you got Ugas with the belt, right? So just so much other stuff going on here where it kind of makes you say, who's Keith Thurman again? Or like the casual fan's going to say that, So when it all comes down to it, I don't think that Keith Thurman is a pay-per-view attraction at this point. Even in his next fight, it shouldn't be pay-per-view. They need to go back, put him on a televised card, build his numbers up, see where it goes from there. Because even with the UFC model, they seem to get it more. Like, there's certain cards that are pay-per-view, then there's some that are UFC Fight Nights. UFC Fight Night is free on ESPN for fans, right? Or sometimes ESPN Plus. So they have to kind of gauge their fighters in that aspect and say, okay, this person right now brings in money, where people will say, I'll pay to watch him fight. And then there's guys that'll say, okay, I'll tune in if, I'll check him out if he's on TV. You have to kind of look at it that way. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got on this. And like I said, I just wanted to give my thoughts on Keith Thurman being back. Final thoughts. Is he back? Yeah, he looks like he's physically there, like he's trying to refine that hunger, but you got to be back in there with the full-fledged welterweight for me to say he's fully back. But I think he could be some competition for the lower level tier in the welterweight division. We'll see where it goes from here. I don't think he can beat Terrence Crawford at this point. Never thought he could beat Errol Spence, so that tells you that. As far as his moves being pay-per-view, please don't do him as pay-per-view again, because he's not going to pull in numbers. And that's where I stand with that. Let me know, guys, what y'all think. Combo Breaker 99. Make sure y'all subscribe, all box and everything. I'm out. Peace.